Good. Well, let's move on to the next question, which revolves around the fact that both Senator McCain and Senator Obama endorse what President Bush calls the global war on terror as perhaps the heart of U.S. policy. They have said that they would continue the preemptive wars in Iraq. Certainly Senator Obama calls for downsizing, but not an end to American military presence in Iraq. And both of these candidates talk for an augmentation in troop levels in the war in Afghanistan. Both Senators McCain and Obama say that they will increase the size and budget of the American military, and they, of course, would like to transfer or send at least 10,000 more troops to the Afghan theater as soon as they take power. Secondly, these candidates in their campaign have refused to censure Israel for the siege of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip or the occupation of the West Bank, or since the beginning of the Second Palestinian Uprising or Intifada in September 2000, the Israeli army has killed more than 860 children. I would like you to respond to their Middle Eastern policy, to their perpetuation of the so-called war on terror, and perhaps answer the Middle East correspondent for The Independent in London, Robert Fisk, who has written and argues that for the Muslim world it will make no difference who wins the election. Do you agree with this assessment? What do you see as the consequences of the Republican and Democratic approaches to these conflicts in the Middle East? And how do you respond to their uncritical support for Israel's government? Thank you. And I think Mr. Nader begins this session.
Well, the foreign affairs reporters for the Washington Post and New York Times this spring wrote articles saying that the foreign policy of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton will be very much like the second term of George W. Bush. And Barack Obama has demonstrated that. There was such a similarity during their so-called debates. They were belligerent toward Iran. They were totally uncritically supportive of the Israeli military repression, devastation, occupation, and colonization of Palestine and its people. You know, when Barack Obama went over there, he spent 45 minutes in the West Bank, and all the rest of the time was in Israel. The casualty toll was 400 casualties, civilian casualties, to one Israeli casualty in the skirmishes that are going on between Gaza and the Israelis. Now, if he did that to the Israelis, he would be accused of anti-Semitism against the Jewish people. He did that to the Arabs, not a single sentence of compassion and what they are going through. And I accuse Barack Obama of anti-Semitism against the Arab peoples. They're both part of the Semitic race, Arabs in greater number than Jews, and it's time to pin that description on both McCain and Obama for their callousness beyond belief as they grovel to the militaristic Israeli lobby called AIPAC, which doesn't even represent a majority of Jewish Americans. And a majority of Jewish Americans, Arab Americans, Israelis and Palestinians want a two-state solution, and they worked it out in Geneva, the Israeli and Palestinian peace movement, and that's what Nader Gonzales would support, the Palestinian-Israeli peace movements who have worked out in detail a two-state accord. Iraq is just more U.S. soldiers, more U.S. Bases are going to remain in Iraq, maybe at a reduced level, but it still will be seen by Iraqis as a military occupation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Baldwin.